Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It's hot out. You know, today, I think it was the first time when I was reading the forecast this morning. Of course, I'm not a meteorologist. I read somebody else's work when I report the weather forecast. But it was like 96, 97 degrees, the expected high. And I've noticed that whenever I read that information, that later on in the day when I actually look at what the temperatures did climb to, which, by the way, right now it's 88 degrees, which sounds pretty good. But it actually climbs higher than that. And there was an article this morning from the Florida News Network regarding heat exhaustion, heat stroke, et cetera, some of the dangers, dehydration, some of those things. Dr. Grodonoff Nelson is in the studio. He's been with us several times. He's become sort of our medical health expert, coming in answering our questions. One of the big things is the importance of the simple importance of having a primary care provider. Suzanne Santangelo is here as well. She's the director of marketing at Ocala Health, and she has invited Dr. Nelson to be with us this morning. So good morning again, Suzanne, and good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
How are you?
Pretty good.
In a black jacket and a hot day. Isn't this like and you've got a black, was that a sweater?
It's
no way. No way. See, I was told wear light colored clothing and you'll be in. Yeah, I get home, I change into everything cooler than what I wear. And you mentioned that when you're at work, you wear warmer clothing. So,
well, keep the air conditioning pretty cool.
I know. So I have a question, Doctor.
Yes.
Rob and I were discussing this because I don't have an air conditioner right now. It's broken. I'm sweating like a pig. Do pigs sweat? That's not my question. My question is it actually healthy to sweat? Like, am I actually better off by letting all those sweat glands open up? Or if I was in an air conditioner all day, is that better? Which is better?
I mean, sweating is fine. It takes away any excess. In a way, you sweat in order to cool your body. So that's the reason why you sweat. But excessive sweating is not good if you're not rehydrating yourself.
Got to keep drinking.
So you got to keep drinking water and make sure you stay well hydrated, especially if you're outside. You're mowing the lawn, playing sports. That's why they stress the importance of making sure that you stay well hydrated and not, just sweat and have the risk of having a heat stroke or heat exhaustion.
The primary care provider, which is what we want to focus on right now, is something we used to have. Everybody had their own family doctor. Now it seems like they go to the emergency room. The first question they're asked is, who's your primary care provider? And a lot of people will say, I don't really have one, which is why I'm here. What happened? How come the world, or at least how come America changed in that regard? Do you know?
It has somewhat to do with health insurance. Could be an issue. Also, a lot of patients or a lot of individuals, they feel, well, I'm not sick. I'm doing pretty well. I'm young. I'm healthy. Sometimes cost could be an issue, and unfortunately, they feel like the emergency room, since they have to see them, they'll let the emergency room play the role of primary care, physician, when that's not the role of the emergency room. That's why one of the first questions they'll ask you is, do you have a primary care physician? Because we noticed that if not more than a quarter of the time you go to the ER, and it's something that could have been resolved at their primary care physician's office, something that's been chronic, blood pressure issues. If your blood pressure would have been well managed as an outpatient, you wouldn't need to be in the hospital at risk of being hospitalized, or even things as like a tooth infection, that could have been resolved by a dentist or being on antibiotics and things. So, a lot of individuals are using ER as, the outpatient clinic.
We have a phone call, and if you put your headphones on, you'll be able to hear the caller. And just for the listeners' sake, Suzanne, we are taking calls, right? That's okay? Sure. Okay, 622-WOCA is the phone number. Thank you for calling and for waiting. You're on the air with Dr. Grodonoff Nelson.
Hello, Dr. Nelson and Larry. What I'm calling about is I have a primary physician, a cardiologist, a urologist. I mean, I've got the whole 9 yards. So I call my primary care physician because I wake up, my arm is swollen, it's discolored, I can hardly move my hand. I call him up. they tell me to call the emergency room or go to a clinic. And or I could wait and come in there on Friday, and this is Wednesday morning. I don't understand, but that's their policy. If I call and they don't have any room that day, as soon as they have room, they'll see me, but I can go to the emergency room or to
urgent care.
These clinics, which I did, and I spent the whole day in the clinic, and they were testing me for something I didn't even have. What is your comment on that? Is that the policy for some of these primary care physicians, that they don't go to the hospital, but they send you to the hospital if they don't have room to see you?
That's an excellent point. The issue that's unfortunately occurring is in the healthcare system, there's an influx of patients and not enough physicians to cover those patients. So it's unfortunate, for the patient or for you. I mean, we wish that we could be able to see you, and it's not like hopefully the physician doesn't want to see you. They would like to see you. It's just that there's too many patients in a day to be seen, and they want to make sure that you're appropriately, cared for. But the more and more patients that are coming into the healthcare system, and it's just, the way it is, where you're having baby boomers, you're having, we're living much longer. There's not enough physicians, enough, primary care providers to be able to care for the patient. So, fortunately, they'll sometimes shuttle you off to like urgent care to be seen immediately, or they'll have you go to the emergency department, because depending on your complaint, they may not be able to do anything for you at the clinic anyway, so they'll have you go to the emergency room. But it just depends if they're able to have you see another primary care physician in their network, then that would help. Like for us, if you're unable to see one of our other physicians, then they'll either send you to me or one of some of our other primary care physicians, and we'll be able to try to get you in as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because, I thought the idea of having a physician was you went to them and not to the emergency room, because I have very good insurance. I have Medicare and I have supplement, and everything has been paid. Surgeries I've had, there's never been any problem with the provider receiving payment. I go and I don't have to pay anything, and they get compensated or paid. And so I just want to find somebody that I don't have emergencies, thank God, that often. When I had a really bad one, which was, I didn't know it at the time, a gallbladder attack, of course I went to the emergency room.
I think too, what and you make a very good point. When you're going to find a primary care physician, if you don't have one, that's a really good question to ask them. If you're not available and I really need to see you the day of, or even the next morning, do you have a partner? Do you have somebody else you work with that I could see if you are
That's a good point.
Completely booked up for the week? And you don't think about that always, but especially in this area, part of Florida too, as Dr. Nelson said, there is a shortage with primary care providers. There is.
And you're with a group, your family care specialists, so you automatically have other partners, correct?
Other partners will be able to cover. So if you're unable to, like at our clinic, if you're unable to see me, you could see, the nurse practitioner that works with me. If you're unable to see us for whatever reason, we have other physicians in our network that are able to see you. So, and also it depends how the office is set up. Some offices, they schedule slots of time for those quick visits, or those individuals that, hey, I really need to be seen right now. Fine, let's put you into the schedule. Not necessarily squeeze you in, but we'll have those little slots available to put you in to be able to see you. So it just depends how the physician's office is set up. Unfortunately, some physician's office, they're booked solid. It's tough, but it goes back to the shortage that exists.
To the caller, you probably have a very good doctor or a popular doctor, and that's why you can't get in to see him, because a lot of people like going to him, or her.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, well, I guess, but it's just. I don't call up every week. I don't have some kind of complaint like, oh, my head is hurting today and my leg is hurting. But my arm was all swollen and red, and I really couldn't drive or anything because I couldn't use my hand. It was all swollen, and I still don't know what caused it. They gave me antibiotics, and that was kind of the end of it. And I did go see her. I took that Friday appointment, but I don't know if I wouldn't have gotten antibiotics or something. If by Friday, I don't know what it would have been like.
It sounds like, when you have a relationship with a doctor, you don't want to break off that relationship, But at the same time, if a doctor can't see you and you'd be better off going with a group of doctors, maybe that's the answer. I don't really know. Thank you for the call. We're going to take another caller, but thank you. I appreciate that call. Good morning. You're on the air. Good morning. We probably lost him. Go ahead and call back if you want to call Dr. Nelson right now. The number is 622-WOCA, and we're talking about the importance of having a primary care provider. So just while we're waiting for the caller to call back, how do we find somebody? I mean, is there a resource somewhere that we can...
Yeah, in our area for our office, you could look us up online. We have a directory. You could be able to, just... If anything, you could Google us and we'll be able to find us, either family care specialist or my name, Dr. Nelson in Ocala. Something as simple as that. My name comes up, our website comes up, so you'll be able to just contact us. If you do need a primary care physician, our office is open for new patients, but I think it's important to identify why you need a primary care physician. There's, prevention is big, because I get a lot of patients, or I hear a lot of people say,
really?
I've been well all my life. Why should I even, waste my time, waste money seeing a primary care doctor? I'm fine, I'm good. But the issue is, yes, you can look in the mirror and, it may seem like you're doing well, or you may feel okay, but internally, are you okay? Is your blood pressure well controlled? If let's say you feel fine, but your blood pressure is teetering on, pre-hypertension and hypertension, how do you know that? How do you know you're not pre-diabetic? How do you know you're not suffering from high cholesterol? Let's say your mother, father has high cholesterol, they have high blood pressure, or they've had a heart attack. You got to make sure, what are my chances of having it? Do I have some familial disorder where I need to be, monitored closely? So it's important to, get the proper screening, make sure, that you get the immunizations, make sure that whatever disease state you may have, you figure out what's going on, how could I go about treating it or avoiding having certain diseases too. There's different levels of prevention that, needs to be instituted by you and your physician. So I'm not saying to go ahead, if you're doing great, you go see a physician and all the testing, everything shows out fine, and follow up every year. You're only seeing the physician once a year, making sure everything's checked out.
Makes sense, yeah.
And then if something else is needed, a specialist or a gynecological doctor or a heart doctor, then you would do the referrals?
Yeah, exactly. So if, let's say, something goes beyond our office, or that something needs to be closely monitored by a specialist, and we will refer you over to a specialist and make sure you're in the proper hands and being well monitored and being well cared for, because number one killer in the U.S. is cardiovascular disease. So making sure that the patient does not suffer from any cardiovascular disease, prevents them from having a heart attack or stroke, which are big killers in the U.S., especially if you smoke, making sure that we prevent you from developing such as these diseases like diabetes and things. Also helping you stop to smoke is a big deal, and making sure that you don't have any new masses in your lungs or anything at all. So
the name of the group, Family Care Specialists, makes me want to ask: are there pediatricians in the group?
No, there are no pediatricians in the group, but a lot of our physicians do see, or our providers do see children.
Okay.
Usually 5 years old and up. So at our office, we see children, adolescents, and up to the age of 200, if that exists.
200. Wow.
And when people do have insurance from their workplace or their private insurance company, can they call your office first to see if you accept their insurance before making an appointment?
Yeah, definitely. Call us up, making sure. We do take most of the major insurances. So, call us and, set up an appointment. If we do, we'll be able to see you without a problem. We also accept self-pay patients. So if you don't have any insurance, we're able to see those patients as well. And the thing is, some insurance companies or via your workplace, you actually get a discount if you see your primary care doctor at least once a year. So you get your yearly checkup, you actually get a discount for that. So look into that as well, because companies are realizing that if we're able to have our employees well cared for, it saves us, in a sense, money and their health in the long run. The less time they call in that they're sick, the better they, the more money the company could make, and the work output could be better. So
a lot of insurance plans, your annual checkup is covered in full.
Yeah, so you don't have to pay any copay or anything.
The same thing, a lot of insurance companies cover for women an annual mammogram too, for screening purposes. So, you just have to also know your insurance. Don't let it be a money thing all the time.
Yeah. Don't ever let it be a money thing. I know it's easy to say, but it's really a good piece
It's hard.
Well, in this business of radio, if we have an intern working right here at this board, what it means is that it's usually an unpaid person, and if they make a mistake, the worst that's going to happen is we're going to be off the air until somebody comes running in here, pushes the right button. Okay. In medicine, there's a category called internist. I wouldn't want to see an internist if they were just like an intern. But this is a trained person, right? What is it? What is an internist?
Completely different. An internist is a physician that usually sees adults 18 years old and up. They do outpatient work and also inpatient.
But they're full-fledged doctors.
Yeah, 100%. 100% full-fledged physicians. There's no doubt about it.
Are you an internist?
No, I'm a family care physician.
I'm confused what the difference is.
So different residencies, different routes. Family care, family practice, you'll go ahead and do 3 years of residency after medical school, and you focus on children, adolescents, adults. So you see full range from birth to death. So we cover that whole scope. So that's where our specialty comes in. Internists are usually mostly adult medicine.
So you've seen people grow up?
Seen patients grow up. I haven't seen anybody grow up from birth to.
You're pretty young, I'm thinking.
But I've seen them grow from adolescence, to teenage years and upwards. So.
Do you make house calls?
Well, we don't see patients at home, but we'll be able to try to accommodate patients the best way we can. I mean, if we're able to get them to our office via different modes of transportation, because sometimes the county helps with transportation, we'll be able to do that. But the thing that we do have is home health. So we have that referral base where, if let's say we have a patient that we need to keep a close eye on them, we'll be able to use our home health assistants or our auxiliary nursing staff to be able to go ahead and keep an eye on them at home, and they'll communicate back with us what's going on with the patients. So we have a lot of patients where we need eyes on them at home, because we could only do so much in the office.
Does the way that a person typically finds a primary care provider, is that the best way? And typically it would be like, if I don't have a primary care provider, I'm going to say to Robin, who's recommended that? She's going to recommend her doctor. Is that a good idea, or are her needs going to be so different than mine that I need really to know more than that?
Word of mouth is great. If you have a friend and they have an awesome physician, they'll tell you that, hey, this physician, he or she is really good. You're able to talk to them. I mean, the main thing that I think that's important is to have a good relationship with your physician, to be able to talk to them, to be able to communicate with them, and allow them to educate you, and for you to tell them what's going on with you. Because I honestly believe the patients know their body the best. I mean, they come in just making sure that the primary care doctor is able to listen to you. And in a sense, a lot of times we learn in medical school, the patient basically half of the time, if not more, tell you what's wrong with them. Even before you go and do all the tests and everything, you'll be able to get a good idea of what's going on, which direction I need to take, if they're able to communicate well. So if you're able to have that and know a friend or family member that has a physician that's able to communicate with you, I mean, go for it.
Dr. Grodonoff Nelson is in the studio right now. If you have a question for Dr. Nelson, please feel free to call. The number is 622-WOCA. We're talking about primary care providers. Dr. Nelson is with Family Care Specialists. And how many doctors do you have at Family Care Specialists?
We have roughly about 20?
22 providers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's like a hospital.
Well, there's 7 locations, and something that's unique about this practice, too, is that 2 of the locations have urgent care services.
Okay.
So, for instance, like the caller before, if she couldn't get in to see her primary doctor,
right,
they can go to the urgent care, which is more of a walk-in, but it's within the same practice. So you're being treated by, Dr. Nelson's colleagues.
I don't know. Are you each other's doctors? Who's your physician? I mean, I'm not saying name him, but see, if I want to know who's a good doctor, I'm going to ask a doctor. Who's your doctor? Yeah, who's your? I mean, I don't need the answer right now, but
Yeah, I mean, there's awesome physicians in our group. I mean, I wouldn't be part of the group if I didn't think so. You know, so there's awesome physicians. That's why, like, I'm confident if, let's say, for whatever reason, I'm unable to see you, if we're able to get you over to our urgent care, we'll get you to urgent care. Like, for example, the caller that we recently spoke to, if, let's say, I send them to the urgent care, well, can't see you now, for whatever reason, go to the urgent care. She goes to the urgent care, we're able to look up immediately what the urgent care physician or the nurse practitioner did that same day, and be able to figure out, okay, my patient was well cared for. We'll have follow-up. We'll get you to come in either the next day or 2 days. So we know exactly what's going on without having to go to the whole loop of, we got to make you to sign a records release and try to call the other physician and go the whole bit. We'll be able to know exactly what happened, what went on. So, that's why I like working for this network of physicians, because the physicians are great, and we're able to communicate with each other to help the patients, do better.
And the person who's moving new into the area, are his or her records easily accessible? Is that something technology has made easier, or is it still hard to do?
It just depends. I mean, for us, one of the first things we do when you come to our office is we want to get records from your previous physician, a primary care provider. So we'll get you to sign a records release, and we'll send it over immediately to your previous doctor. And it just depends how quick your previous doctor is able to send us the information. But once we have it, it's scanned into the computer, and all the information is in one place. So we're able to pull it up and kind of see what went on before, so we could keep with that same trend and make sure that you're doing your best.
They also have a patient portal too, so that the patient themselves can go on their own portal and see the care they've gotten, their health history within the practice.
The caller you had earlier, let's say she went to the emergency room and they decided to admit her. Who tends to her needs while she's in a room? Is it you? If you were her primary care, would you be showing up the next morning and say, "Oh my gosh, I wish you called me. I was on my fishing boat or something"?
Yeah, I mean, for us, that's a great question, because we get that all the time. For us, we have a hospitalist group that we work closely with at Ocala Region of West Marion. So if we, unfortunately, if you have to end up being admitted, we have those hospitalists that work, closely with us. If something is, drastically wrong, they'll call us, say, hey, this is what's going on with the patient. Then we'll get records immediately sent. We have access to your records. As soon as you walk in our office, we'll be able to have those records from Ocala Regional, West Marion. So we'll be able to, keep good track of what's going on, what happened in the hospital, so we're able to continue with your care, quicker. So, it's great that we have the hospitalists that are there at the hospital all the time, 24/7. Because sometimes you have outpatient docs, which is great if your physician and the outpatient could be able to see you in the hospital. But what happens when they're busy seeing patients during the day, and they need to see you, quickly, and as an outpatient or while you're in the hospital, there's a lack of communication sometimes. I mean, it's fine if you're able to have a doctor that's able to see you in the hospital, but for us, we have the hospitalists that are there all the time. They can be able to tend to your needs and communicate back with us what's going on.
Once a person becomes an adult, and then they go in to see their doctor, if they feel there's something wrong with them, will you allow their parents to come in with them, or a spouse or somebody like that, to hear your diagnosis and things? Or do you prefer just to see that adult patient on their own, and then leave it up to that adult patient to relay the information to their parents or spouses?
We've only got a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, privacy is big. The patient has to be okay with it. I mean, everything that we speak to the patient about is on a 100% privacy level, and the only way we could be able to have a family member know is if the patient's okay with it, and they have to basically sign off on that. So there's rules and regulations to that we must adhere to.
I think the takeaway message today is you have a primary care provider, simple as that. And so do you want to give out any phone numbers? Suzanne, do you want to give out a number?
Well, if you'd like to call Dr. Nelson directly, it's area code 352-351-0120. And then if you need a referral for another specialty, there's always our 800 number, 800-530-1188.
All right, and Robin has written both the numbers down, so call us if you need them. Do you have one more?
No.
Suzanne, thank you. Thank you, as always. And Dr. Nelson, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We will take a little break. By the way, if you want to share this with somebody, the video that we just made will be available by 2 o'clock today. Just go to our YouTube channel, and it'll be there. We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. A record-breaking settlement over the mortgage banking scandal.
The Department of Justice has reached an agreement.